Charlie, we have to ask you right away. How did you find out that your character was Sauron?
We filmed the first 2 episodes, then went on hiatus, and then with maybe 2 months to go of the hiatus, before starting episode 3, before I started, the showrunners kind of said, we want you to come in, we want to have a meeting with you. And they took me into the set that Galadriel discovers in the first episode, in the Northern Waste, you know, with the orcs through the walls and Sauron's sigil on the forge. They took me in there and they said, this is your world. You're playing Sauron.
Talk about that emotional scene with Morfydd in the finale, and he tries to manipulate Galadriel into joining him in Mordor.
It's a scene where I think you finally see his true intentions, and it has a lot of stuff in the scene. He talks to her about healing Middle-earth, and that comes back to a lot of what Tolkien said about Sauron, in that he, at the beginning of the Second Age, he'd been brought low, and he lingered in Middle-earth, and his power then very slowly re-emerged. So we see him basically pitching his vision. And I think he wholeheartedly believes that he's doing good. He wants to rehabilitate and rid Middle-earth of all the wasteful friction, because he's obsessed with order. And I think he genuinely believes that if Galadriel joins him, that'll help him affect his goals. I think they have a cosmic connection, but I don't think it's necessarily in his mind a king and a queen, like husband and wife kind of situation. I think it's more, I can use you to get what I want, and affect my designs faster. Because ultimately, I think he would have ended up ruling by himself, whether she joined him or not. And when she says no on the raft, it angers him, but it's not the end of the world for him.
Halbrand almost kills Galadriel down at the stream.
Talk about portraying that transition into evil.
Yeah, it was really fun. I can really remember that day that Mordvith and I filmed the scene down by the river. And that was the first time I really got to experience that switch into, you know, shedding the cloak of Halbrand, and the line that he says, "I've been awake since the breaking of the first silence." That was a really profound moment for me, because it was like, it really gave me perspective on just how long this character had been alive and the things he had seen, and allowing that to settle felt to me completely different from Halbrand. And it was like any pretense, any guardedness or shield that he had put up was gone, and below is someone with good intentions, but to the viewer probably quite dark intentions, to rule and to dominate. And for me as an actor, I mean, it's just an absolute thrill to play it, and I'm fully nerding out, you know, being able to talk about it all for the first time.
So there are obvious similarities, like Halbrand and Sauron are skilled smiths. What are some of the more subtle clues about Halbrand's true identity that you as an actor dropped along the way during the season that we may have missed?
It's interesting with Halbrand because you only see him through the lens of other characters. You rarely see him alone. In fact, I think you only see him alone once, when he's sitting with his pouch. And even then, you see him in conflict. And that's interesting, because when you look at that scene and you think, well, he's conflicted, he's just by himself, he's not showing this to anyone. You could argue that, well, perhaps he is genuinely repentant. But I remember making that scene and thinking, in Middle-earth, there is always someone watching, and the gods are watching, and he fears the gods. He's just, he has had to kneel at the feet of Eonwe and say sorry. He doesn't know that they're not going to send something and to hurt him or defeat him. So I think for me, as I was performing it, it was about accentuating the subtle differences, not being too obvious with either manipulation or overt conflict. Like, I really want to be a good man. I think I tried to walk the line. And as well as that, the showrunners put in, and the writers put in, some really cool little hints along the way. Lines like to Galadriel, "I'm sorry about your brother." Or his second line on the raft is, "Looks can be deceiving." I know I had some friends text me as soon as that as soon as I said that line saying you're Sauron, and I couldn't tell them. I'm excited to see and answer the questions as to why he was on the raft. But I think in that exact moment, he feels this cosmic connection to this person, and he spent so many years alone and meeting people that are not like him, that when he meets someone with extreme, incredible power, you get a thrill, you get a rush, and you say, I want to be with this person. So she's survival, but also she can open doors. She can get him in the right rooms. She knows people, and I think he sees an opportunity to exploit that.
Thank you, Galadriel.
For bringing you here.
For saving my life.
There's such an evolution of Halbrand, Saren, and Galadriel's relationship. They saved each other's lives in season 1, but now they're literally hardened foes. How are we going to see that relationship develop in season 2?
I think it'll be really exciting. We only have the first few scripts of the second season, so I don't really know exactly where it's going to go. But I certainly hope that they meet again, and it sets up this great relationship that would hopefully be able to endure over 5 seasons. And they can, when they do meet, they have this really rich history. But I imagine that when they see each other, it's going to be frosty. It's going to be a icy relationship.
Why did Halbrand want to kill Adar?
I think we want to be careful about giving up the ghost in a way. I think with a lot of these things, we feel like it's all there. But I would say, just as a viewer, I would think about the story that Adar tells Galadriel. He claims to have killed Sauron. And we know from Tolkien that Sauron is defeated and returns in another form several times throughout the centuries.
They have a rich history of which we will see more in the future. There is a lot of hatred and mixed feelings there between them. And I think that's an example of Sauron within Halbrand being a bad guy, and his ruthless streak of just like, if I don't like someone or I have a problem, I'm going to end you. And Galadriel saves Adar in that situation.